Are there critical risks which are not identified by your business and are not being managed by your business? And it's only by good luck that you're not having a critical risk realized, be it a single fatality, multi-fatality, or something worse. So a classic mechanism of how I see that unfold, which I want to share, is when I come into a business and we look at their critical risk management framework or the risk management framework, they'll say, yeah, look, I've got some bow ties or some risk assessments at a level 2 or like a single fatality level. And say, for example, they might have fire, working at heights, another topic, and maybe a few other topics out to the right-hand side. And I'll assume, I won't unpack the quality of the bow tie, but let's assume that the quality is okay. My follow-up question is, how did you come to that being the list of bow ties? So if you identified 30, how did you arrive that it's 30 critical risks? And oftentimes there's a bit of reflection and they go, oh, we're not quite sure. Or what we'll see is they'll say, okay, well, it's based on incidents we've had, hazards being reported. We might do some safety observations. We've had some audits. We've got some external databases. We've got legislation, our own experience. And so that's really a ground up, bottom up approach to identifying critical risks that need to be bow tied. And obviously there's a challenge with that, isn't there? That how do you know that there aren't some missing? How do you know that you've covered all of the relevant critical risks? And sometimes I say, well, we're not quite sure, but we think this is what we did, so let's just get on with it. The opportunity, and this is where the broad brush risk assessment has a part to play in the critical risk management process, is the broad brush risk assessment sits at the top above these layer 2 or level 2 risk assessments. And this is the mechanism that we say we cast the net across the organisation to say, where are our critical risks? What are our critical risks? Who are our risk owners? What are our high level treatment plans? And what's our priority for action for resolution? And then that effectively is a top-down approach. And what we invariably do when we're pulling together broad brush risk assessments is say, look, this is really good information. Let's move it up and feed it into the broad brush risk assessment. So we take all of this stuff and then we can look top down and we can say, oh, okay, yes, you've got that. And then we can see, are there some other things missing? Like a classic example is off-site vehicle travel, exposure to toxic and irrespirable atmospheres outside of a confined space, some other examples, and depending on the business, it'll change. So what do you need to do? If your organisation has this layout and maybe is derived it from this, then the opportunity is to consider a broad brush risk assessment. It's not that complex, so that you can have a top down and using the bottom up activities to really give yourself the best chance to identify what are those critical few things and what are we going to do with them at level 2, level 3 process. We've got a example template of a broad brush risk assessment that we freely share. I've got a link to that with this particular video to at least get you along the right track. That's all I want to share today. Always interested in people's thoughts and comments. Chat to you later. Bye-bye.